Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. We are surrounded by books. That means we have a few options for a video. Today's video is the 4th author's diary entry. If you don't know, I am a published author. Here is my book, Upside Down, by yours truly. I have been doing little entries just talking about my journey to becoming a published author, different steps, the writing process, cover designs, and things like that. So if you would like to start with the first video, you can. It just gives you a bit of an overview of the entire kind of author process that I went through, and you can start there or you can start here. It's completely up to you, it's fine. But in today's video, I'm going to talk about how I built up my worlds and how I did my main characters. So I have a little binder with some character info. So I did these character designs and the world designs in Canva. Nothing is official. Eventually I would like to get character art, but we don't have the funds for that just yet. So I really haven't used this any of these images to do promoting. It's more so just so I have a visual aid to help bring things to life. I didn't start getting the images together until I was working on book 2. It is a work in progress. It is coming together, I promise. But I did have like my character, at least the main characters, how I wanted them to be designed, their age, features and things like that together for the start of book 1. So we're gonna start with the worlds because there's only 2, but my book is a dystopian sci-fi YA book. It is set in the future where the world is split in 2. The wealthy live above the clouds in Rose City, and then the poor live down below on Earth's surface. So I knew I was going to have 2 separate worlds in this series, and that one was going to be, you know, glamorous, probably a little gaudy, nice clothing, they're throwing balls and galas and so forth. And the other world was going to be a bit dusty, dingy, broken down, kind of covered in smoke. So essentially polar opposites. So it was kind of fun building those worlds, but I will say it felt a little bit easier doing Earth's surface. So I'm just gonna give like a little profile on that, just so you can see. And then just some other images of what I'm going for. Kind of like, you know, most dystopian books when the world has lost everything. Dark, dusty, covered in clouds, broken down buildings. It looks like no one lives there anymore, essentially. So that's what I was going for. But it also takes place in 2131. So that is when the world split and it became Earth's surface and then Rose City. And essentially I kind of gave the description of it was left in ruins after the world split. This is where the poor live. They don't have great conditions, surrounded by dirt and smoke, and leaving it a little bit mysterious, but the people here haven't forgotten. They're just waiting. So they haven't forgotten about what happened to them, how they were left here, but they're waiting for the right moment for change, for action. So that's giving you a little bit of Earth's surface, and I kind of stayed that route throughout my process of starting with book 2. I will say book 2, you do get more time in Earth's surface and you get to kind of explore that a little bit more. In book 1, you do get Earth's surface, but it starts in Rose City. So you're getting that introduction to the glamour, the wealth, all things nice. And once again, this world was created in 2131, but above the clouds, and it's where all the wealthy live. So those who had money before the split as well, like of course in a dystopian world, not everyone is going to be on the same level when it comes to money. So yes, before the split, there were people who had more money than others, but it wasn't as prominent until after the world split and there was the big divide. So we have where all the wealthy live. They are Rose City citizens. Where the inner circle presides, they're also known as the true wealthy. And essentially where no one has to want for anything. They do have soldiers stationed in Rose City just for their protection or so forth. They feel like they need that. And kind of ending it on that note that leaves you wanting more. Towering, tall, beautiful buildings, power in every corner. So I will say it's kind of hard sometimes trying to bring what's in your mind to life. Again, this is just so I can visualize. So these aren't exactly what I have in mind, but it's just to give the vibe of the above the clouds, the floating buildings, because that's what I'm aiming for. And of course, as you can see, these are more colorful in comparison to these over here. I wanted to show that as well, that Rose City has more of the glittering lights, the colors, it's lively, as opposed to Earth City, it's not as lively. So those were some of my profiles for the world. Now we're going to get into character profiles. And for the most part, my top main characters, those were kind of completely fleshed out when I started writing book one. And then some of these character profiles I built out as I was working on book one and completing it. And then some of them I fleshed out a little bit more as I started working on book two. And I will say, at least for me, I don't think you have to have everything completed character profile wise. As long as you have basis, as long as you have the basic needs, like you want it to be a female teenager between like 15 to 18, brown skin to start, and then you can flesh out hair color, eye color, her personality, and things like that. So that's what I did. But our main character, the star of the show, is Lana de la Cour. She is the female main character. You're essentially hearing things from her point of view for a majority of the story, but you do get other people's point of view as well. But we are following her journey and what she discovers while in Rose City and what she discovers while on Earth's surface as well. So she is a female with kind of caramel brown skin, tall, naturally curly, black hair, 18-year-old daughter. And then I fleshed out things like she's an only child, who her parents are, Natasha and Lawrence de la Cour. She lives in Rose City, and other things that have been mentioned. But one of the things in Rose City, when it comes to like galas and stuff like that, they will have family colors, and her family color is blue. She is a daddy's girl, so she's really close to her dad. Not so much her mom, they just don't click. And she can sometimes come off as shy, but she's really close with her friends. She is a fighter. She doesn't let people take advantage of her. Very smart, curious, can be secretive. I did put her relationship status, considering she is the main character that we're following. So single, and she's not looking for a relationship. She wants to focus on herself, and she was born into the wealthy lifestyle, but doesn't feel like she belongs. So that's why you can see in some of the pictures, she's wearing blue because that's her family color. That's what they wear to galas, nice events like that. and then just some more images. And with some of the others, it's just, I was looking for kind of dystopian clothing of what they wear. And of course for her, some of it still looks nicer because living in Rose City, you do have that wealthy lifestyle. So you are able to have the finer things in life as opposed to those in Rose City. So those are kind of just what I'm aiming for if I were to do character art, something similar to this, but it doesn't have to be exactly like that. And again, this is just so I can visualize what the characters would look like for me, not really using this for promo or anything like that, just so I can bring my characters to life. And then our next character profile is her dad, Lawrence de la Cour, and again, doing the same thing. I will say with some of the older characters, I didn't specify ages right off the bat. I was just like in the 50s, in the 40s, in the 60s. And then as I was writing the book, I fleshed out the actual age that I was aiming for. So Lawrence is a 57-year-old male, tall, caramel brown skin with short curly black hair. Lana's father, married to Natasha. Again, they're in the same family, so his family color is also blue. Living in Rose City, he is a member of the Inner Circle, also known as the True Wealthy. So the Inner Circle, aka the True Wealthy, have more flexibility in Rose City. They know more than others. They are the people who are putting on the big events and things of that nature. When someone has questions or wants to put something together, they go to members of the Inner Circle to get that done. So they're kind of like the governing body of Rose City. But he's a high-ranking member of society. He was a soldier before kind of retiring and then just becoming a citizen of Rose City. He actually helped create Rose City. He's athletic. And then he used to train his daughter. And what I'm also doing with character profiles are putting in little tidbits so I can remember. And with me having it together in one place, I can easily just go there when I'm writing and be like, oh yeah, this is a characteristic of his that would be useful right here in this next chapter. Or this will help explain why he's doing X, Y, and Z. And also it helps to just make sure your character is either progressing from where they started in book one or staying on the same path. So it's not like it's the same person, but they're acting out of character. So having those together. And these are some more kind of images. Wanting him to look mature and older, but not like he's on his last leg. Just trying to stay in that realm. And some of these are obviously not the same, but honestly it's about the vibe of what I would like for that character. And then going over to Natasha, the wife of Lawrence and the mother. She is 49. She's average height, brown skin, wavy hair. So, you know, switching up the pattern. This is the first person with technically a different descriptor for her skin color as well as her hair. Of course, she's in Rose City. She is pretty fake. She's not so friendly. She cares about what other people think. She's an attention seeker. She can be very envious. She doesn't have a good relationship with her daughter. She married into the wealthy lifestyle. So what that means is, yes, she came from some type of money, but not the amount of wealth that others had. So she married into this. So technically she would kind of qualify as someone who is a true wealthy, but she was not born that way, if that's making sense. And she doesn't like to do anything that isn't going to benefit her socially. So when I created Natasha, I was looking for someone that was going to be snooty, snobby. She was turning her nose up at things like she didn't agree with. That's the vibe that I was going for Natasha. So hers was a bit easier to create because she's really just in it for the fame, for the glamour. And that's what these images portray. She's upscale, she's classy, she has an attitude. She's not everyone's favorite person, but sometimes people can be envious of her. Then we're moving on to Sean. Sean is actually Lana's best friend, so you do get his point of view throughout book 1, as well as you're going to be seeing more of him in book 2. But Sean Bestman, he is a male, average height, brown skin, nice build, and short curly black hair. He's 17 years old. He's an only child. His dad is Elijah Bestman, and then his mom. His mom isn't really a prominent character, so I didn't really give her a name. I do have families mentioned throughout the series, but if that family member doesn't really play an important role in the story, I don't really give them a name. They are mentioned, but there's really no need to do a name or a descriptor. And I mean, that's up to you when you're writing the book. If you feel like they need that type of introduction or for people to visualize, you can do it that way. But for me, some of the family members that are mentioned, you don't really see them all the time. So unless it's like a big reveal or a scene where they're being announced somewhere, I feel like you don't have to focus too much on them. So that's what it was like for me. Just mentioned, but not in great detail, so you can kind of visualize that character as you please. Lives in Rose City with his parents. His best friend is Lana. He's very outgoing, can be a people pleaser at times. His parents are born wealthy, but he doesn't really care about the money. He's good with technology and wants to be a soldier to make change. So little characteristics like people pleaser, good with technology, wants to make change. Those are things that help build out Sean, and things I use throughout the series. So in book 1, those things are mentioned so people can get an idea of how Sean is, what he likes to do, what he wants to do with his future and things like that. And then we carry that out and flesh it out and do some more details in book 2. And once again, you know, he's a teenager, so we're keeping it as is. He doesn't really have a family color. Not everyone in Rose City has a family color. So it's kind of just like in nice suits, nice clothes, because he's in Rose City. But also some of his clothes are a little bit laid back because he doesn't really care about the wealth. It is what it is to him. But yeah, that's who he is. And then we go to his dad. He has a character profile. You see a bit of his dad in book 1, but you see more of him in book 2. He plays a bigger part there. So he does get fleshed out for the second round. He's 55 years old. He's average height, brown skin, short curly black hair. Again, Sean's father, married to his mother. Don't really need to do too much information on her. Has a good relationship with his son, lives in Rose City. A high-ranking member of society who is very honest and maybe too trusting. Wants to see the best in people, even if others might not, and wants to provide for his family. So he's a provider. He wants to see the best in people. He's very honest and might be a little too trusting. Again, those are characteristics that we're using to represent him and then using throughout the book so people kind of know where he's at and building from that. Again, just so they can stay on course, so it doesn't seem like we're having different people throughout the series. It's the same person. They either just went a little worse from where they started or they've gotten better. And he's the same since he's a high-ranking member, you know, nice clothes. This is the vibe we're going for, the short hair. Mature, but again, not about to go away. And then we have Warren Ackerman. He's a friend of Lana and Sean. He is mentioned in book 1, but he doesn't really play that big of a part. He does get some more, I guess, I don't know the equivalent in book time, but like he gets screen time more so in the second book, but he is introduced in book 1. So I did give him some characteristics for the first book, but I gave more detail when I started writing the second book, just because I knew he was going to be playing a more active role. So he's male, white skin, tall, muscular, brown hair, 18 years old. He is the only child of John Smith and Cheryl Ackerman. So this is one family member. Cheryl, she is mentioned a bit throughout the series, so that's why I did in fact give her a name. You don't always see her, but her name is thrown out a lot. So that's why I decided I would give her a name. If the time ever comes to where I need to give her a character description and so forth, I would. But she was one of those characters that I don't currently have a description for her or a character profile, but she has a name because she keeps getting mentioned a few times throughout the first book, and she does get mentioned in the second book as well. He lives in Rose City. He's friends with Lana and Sean. His father wants him to be a soldier, but he wants to be different from his father. Isn't a materialist, but enjoys the life he lives. He's very low-key and tends to be quiet. So he likes the life he lives. He likes, being comfortable, but he feels like he could do without it. But at the same time, he doesn't know if he wants to chance that. He does want to be different from his father because his father is not many people's favorite person. And he, he's kind of low-key, a little bit quiet. So those are things when Warren is introduced, I feel like you can pick up on those. But we're going to dive more into his character in book 2. So I did some different designs, more laid back clothes, had dressed up because he is John Smith's son. John Smith wants him to be like at the top of the game. So that's what we kind of had to portray. That's what I was aiming for when doing his character. And then we go to his father, John Smith Ackerman. I know in some of these, he kind of looks like Santa Claus. That wasn't what I was going for. But I was definitely thinking like John Smith either needed to have like white hair or silver hair. In my mind, I was like, that's what he needs. So he's 59 years old. He's white. He's tall. Has white hair. He has a bit of a beer belly as well. Stubble on his face. I know it doesn't look like stubble on these images, but again, those are just visual for me to help bring it to life. But imagine it with stubble, not like a full beard. He is Warren's father, married to Cheryl Ackerman, lives in Rose City. He's a part of the inner circle. He's the leader. He likes to say he's the leader, but he was never like officially announced as the leader, but you can't tell him otherwise. So that also plays to his character. Like he thinks he's the best of the best. He has that type of attitude. He's a high-ranking member of society who is very entitled and stuck up. He's chauvinistic. He doesn't have the best relationship with his son, and he likes to claim he helped in the creation of Rose City. So just giving those little tidbits of who he is. And those are portrayed throughout the book. And I think they're pretty easy to pick up on who he is as a person and what he's like. He thinks he created the world for people, and that is not the case. So that's what I was going for. Someone who feels like he's above everyone else, dressed really nice. What he says goes. That's the vibe of John Smith. And his character, I guess to me, was a little bit easy to put together because I knew he wanted to be someone who thought he was better than everyone else. So it was a little bit easier to formulate his character, getting some of his traits together and so forth. Then we have Annabelle. Not too much on her, but like she is a member of the inner circle. So I did have to make a character profile on her. She's 48 years old, a female, tall brown skin with curly brown hair, married, no children. She has a husband, but he's not mentioned so much, so he needs no name. She is a part of the inner circle. She's wealthy and reserved, has a few trusted people. She likes to be in the spotlight, outgoing, very kind of dramatic. And she enjoys the high life and being able to make decisions for other people. So she likes to be in charge. If we were to talk about her and her husband's relationship, she wears the pants in the relationship. That's why I kind of didn't really flesh out his character. I felt like it was no need because she is the focus. And that's also why I didn't give her a family, because I felt like Annabelle would be the type who didn't want kids, so I put that in her character. She's married, she has a husband, that's all she needs, because being a part of the inner circle, she likes that they get to make all these decisions for people. People are grateful to them, you know, talking about them, showering them with compliments and so forth, are envious of them. She likes that life. She doesn't want kids running around doing all that. So I made her character someone who enjoys the high life. As you can see, it's different kind of hairstyles, but I would like her to have the curly kind of look going. She likes the finer things in life, nice clothing, dressing up for galas, different events. That's the vibe of Annabelle. And next we have Marianne, who has kind of like a similar outlook on things as well. She is another member of the inner circle. She's 46 years old. She's a female, short, white, with blonde, straight hair, married, no children. Because again, I felt like Marianne and Annabelle are the same coin, just different sides. She is a part of the inner circle, high-ranking member of society. She attracts drama and is non-confrontational, but is very sociable. She comes from money and she doesn't let people forget that. She enjoys the finer things in life and loves a good party. So I would say if you were talking about Annabelle and Marianne, Annabelle might be a little bit stricter and Marianne's a little bit more laid back. Like, she loves to throw parties, that's her jam. She loves a good drama, she loves the mess, she's into it, but she doesn't really do this confrontational stuff. She'd rather stand aside and let someone else handle that. And again, enjoys the finer things in life. She, honestly, I don't know what she would do if she didn't have the finer things in life. So having that character, and I don't know, I felt like straight blonde hair was the move for her. It was giving boss. And if you can see, some of these look older and some of these look younger, but in the ballpark of what I was aiming for Annabelle, someone who comes off as high class, who looks approachable, but at the same time could flip things in a minute if need be. And then the other page is just a wrap up of the inner circle, talking about all the members. So Lawrence, Annabelle, Marianne, and John Smith. And of course, how they are known as the true wealthy, and they essentially preside over everything in Rose City. I kind of built the mock-up, the character profile of the inner circle as I was writing the book. I had an idea of what I wanted the inner circle to be, those who kind of move things around in Rose City. And as I was writing the book, I was picking up on things that were happening, and I was like, okay, this would be good to add to a character profile. So this was one I was building as I was writing the book. But it said the inner circle doesn't just protect the system, they are the system. And I feel like that's the perfect way to describe the inner circle. And if you understand that, then you understand them. Then we're going to the last few character profiles, and these are now people from Earth's surface. So TK is our male main character. You meet him in book 1. He has a more prominent role in book 2, but he is a male, tall, dark skin with a nice build and short curly hair. 19 years old, lives on Earth's surface. His parents are deceased. Because his parents are deceased, I did not have to do character profiles, come up with names or anything like that. Sometimes when it comes to family, you would like it to be to where it's not so much going on that you forget. So sometimes it's easier to say they're deceased or that they have a husband or a wife, and you don't give them names or descriptors or anything like that. But I did say that since his parents are deceased, he lost them when the world was split in two, and that's something you should put in the character profile in case you forget it. It is here, one place for you to go. He's a fighter. He wants to fight and make change for his people. He's friends with Monday and Dot. He's a hard worker. He doesn't have many friends, but values the one he has, and he doesn't always let people in because he doesn't want to lose them. So just giving a little bit of who TK is, some more more so like he has a hard exterior, but he is soft on the inside once you get to know him. So because he's a fighter and has a nice build, I try to like give that idea. Like he has muscles, kind of like the strong type, a little bit serious when you first meet him. That's probably how he comes off to be. And then kind of the dark backgrounds because he's from Earth's surface. Then we have Monday, who is another character on Earth's surface. Again, you meet her in book 1, and then you get to hear more from her in book 2. She's a female with tan, olive-like skin, short with long auburn red hair. She's 18 years old. Her parents are unknown. I felt like with parents unknown, we don't have to go too much in that because her parents might be alive somewhere or they might be dead. We don't really know at this point, but we do make it stated that we didn't really find out what happened to her parents. She's friends with TK and Dodge. She keeps to herself. She is a fighter and walks to her own rhythm, silent but deadly, loyal and lethal. Doesn't like to play by the rules. She likes to break them, and she's not afraid of being different. So Monday is kind of like that character who stands out. She is straight to charge. Sometimes she doesn't need a plan. She just needs to be told when and where the fight will happen. She has her friends. She doesn't really expand outside of that and giving her vibe. So I kind of gave her a bit of that hard exterior. Monday's another one that first impression, she's probably not gonna like you, a little standoffish, has an attitude. But if you get to know her, you know, things can change. And having the red auburn-ish hair going on, and I had some with the hair down, some with the ponytail, because I'm pretty sure in the book I mentioned like either ponytail or hair down. So again, just that visual aid so I could see what that would look like. Next up, we have Dot, who is our last teenage main character. But she's a female, pale skin, freckles covering her face, plus size, short with brown hair, usually in a braid. 19 years old. Her parents are deceased. She lost them when the world split in two. Friends with TK and Monday, good with computers, a hacker, keeps to herself, soft-spoken, but is a strategist behind the scenes, calculating and quiet, but pays attention and hears what others don't. So Dot is essentially like a fly on the wall. She can be in a space and sometimes people don't see her, so she uses that to her advantage and is able to hear things, process that information, and then go tell whoever is necessary. She's good with computers. She is a hacker. That's her jam. And I mentioned throughout the book about like the braid in her hair, so I made sure when I was doing this character description that I had that. So I didn't specify on the braid, so it doesn't really matter, but just so people know, she likes to do the little braid. She's probably somewhere with the computers and so forth, which is why in some of the background pictures, she's surrounded by computers, or she's kind of in her own space because that's where she, you know, kind of lives with the computers. And then our last character profile is Rose. We meet her in book 1. But you don't get to know too much until book 2. That's when you really learn some things. But Rose is 55 years old. She's a female, tall, brown skin with curly gray hair. There are some things, oh, I might have to block out in here that I just showed y'all. But there are some things that are not revealed just yet, or are revealed like at the end. So I'm gonna make sure I go back and block that, but I'm not gonna say too much about her right now. But she lives on Earth's surface. She holds an authoritative position. She's sharp-minded. She has a steady aim. She helped in the creation of Rose City, has always known how to survive without raising her voice. But when the line between loyalty and self-preservation blurs, even a gentle heart can strike. That is Rose. And she is a grounded presence and a kind of strength that doesn't need attention. So Rose would be someone who is fine being behind the scenes. She doesn't really have to let people know that she did this or she did that, so forth. And they don't really have like a quote unquote like leader, but if they were to have one on Earth's surface, it would be Rose. And it's not because like she took over things. She just kind of started talking to people, getting the people together, helping them organize things. So they just look to her for decisions to be made or things like that. So she was not self-appointed. In a way, the people appointed her. So now it falls on her shoulders to get things together for Earth's surface, making things better for her people. So she kind of has that hardcore vibe to her. I wanted the curly hair and a bit of an afro, different styles. Like, that's what I'm going for. She's a woman who can fight if she has to. You know, that's what we're going for her. She is nice. She is put together. And I don't know if you can tell, but I did try to do a diverse cast. I knew, for me personally, like the main character of my book, I wanted her to be Black because that was one of the reasons I stopped reading. Lack of representation. So I said, yeah, my female main character will in fact be Black. But I also have white characters, and I did not make it so like all the white people were wealthy, all the Black people were wealthy, all the Black people were poor, the white people were poor. No, that is not the case. I did mix it up so people can't say, oh no, she was doing X, Y, and Z. No, that's not the case. I wanted to make it a diverse cast, and there are Black and white people in Rose City. There are Black and white people in Earth's surface. It does not matter the color of your skin. It just matters how you grew up. That's where you landed. And some of these characters are actually based on friends and family members in my life. So that was a cool little fact I did. And that also made building some of my character profiles easier because it was based off of people I knew. So I literally just pulled their description and made it my character, and you know, tweak some things and put a name. And that's how I did my character building. In the book, there are some descriptions for characters. So some of the stuff I read off in the character profile, those descriptions are in the book, so you can visualize what I was trying to say, how I was trying to describe this person. But I know for some people, they ignore character descriptions and just go with whatever's in their head. To each their own. Like, you do what you gotta do, but they are described in my book based off of descriptions that I made before I started writing the series. So yeah, that was kind of my character building, how I came up with some of that, what I was aiming for in the worlds as well, kind of what I would like people to visualize as I was writing this, where my mind was going. And of course, none of this is official. It was done on Canva. When the time is right, I will get, you know, like official character art, art for the worlds as well. That is something like an end goal that I would like to accomplish. We're not there yet, but we will get there. So hopefully this was fun. If you have any questions about the character building, the world building, let me know. I might do something where we flesh out more of the world building as well, because that is a thing in its own. But I realize I've probably talked your heads off in this video. It was a lot, but it was fun. And yeah, I'll just keep doing author entries every now and then, author diary entries. And if there is a specific topic or something you want me to talk about, like, please drop that in the comments below so I can talk about it. But yes, we are steadily working on book 2. It's coming really, really good. I would like to say we might be about halfway finished, or maybe more than halfway finished with book 2. But yeah. And I have some other projects that I'm working on as well that I'm really excited about. We can't say too much about those yet, but they are in the works. I will have all of my socials and stuff in the description box so you can follow me along. I'm, kind of posting updates just so you can see what I'm doing, what's happening, what's coming up. And yes, so I will see y'all in the next video, whatever that's gonna be. But if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more, please hit the subscribe button down below. Peace and blessings, my loves.